Oh, yeah, good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming. Okay, where are we? Hold on.
The end of the first one, I think.
Close. We're very close. Okay. So let me just read these psukim a little bit.
The first one?
Yeah, I really think over this session and the next session, your view on these words are going to explode. All right. 92. Okay, the psukim go right. We just said Oisa Shemaim Ba'aretz as a young mes Bam, right? Always talking about the trust in the Kadosh Baruch Hu because He's the Creator. We don't trust the creations, rather the Creator. We talk about Yaakov Avinu. Oisa Mishpat LaShukim, right? Then the next it goes. He does justice for those exploited. Noisin Lechem Re'evim. He gives bread to the hungry. Adonai matir asurim, Adonai pakeach ivrim. Hashem releases the bound, right, and gives sight to the blind. Zoyket kefufim, straightens the bent. Hashem oyev tzadikim, and then Hashem loves the righteous. So what is going on over here? Seems like a bunch of random things that David put together. So I want to start off with a Gemara in Yuma. It's a very interesting Gemara. Okay, there are three people. Mo, Larry, and Curly. You know who they are? No Mo, Larry, and Curly? Yeah. Okay, so Mo, Larry, and Curly go up to Shemaim. A rich man, a poor man, and a Rasha. And each one goes in front of Hashem, and they ask him the same question. And they ask him, Midnei ma loy askas b'Torah. How come you didn't learn Torah? They asked the ani, why didn't you do that? And he said, I was too busy trying to make a parnasa, right? I had no money. I was busy running around and trying to put bread on the table. So they say, were you a bigger ani than Hillel? Because what about Hillel? You know the story. This is the story from like the bedtime, the Jewish bedtime stories. If you had that book, Hillel Zaken, he used to work every day to earn one tarpik, let's say $10. Okay, we used to work every day to earn $10. And 5 of it he would use to put bread on his table, and 5 of it he used to do to pay the entrance fee to the base medrash. Instead of just pay to enter the base medrash. Nuts. Imagine how packed it would be these days if you had to pay to go in. And half of it for his parnasa, half of it for the shul. One time he couldn't find any work, Hillel HaZaken, and he couldn't go into the shul, so into the base medrash. So what did he do? As the story goes, anyone know? He climbs up to the roof and to the skylight, and he puts his ear down and tries to listen to the Torah of Shmaya and of Kalyan, of the two rabbis of the time. This was happening Erev Shabbos, and it started to snow. The next morning, when Shabbos morning, Shmaya and Kalyan, the two rabbis, walked into the shul. One of them tells the other, "How come it's pretty dark up here? You know, it's usually pretty light." So they look up to the skylight and they see, the snow, but they also see the shape of a person up on top of the roof. So they run up, and what do they find? They found 3 amos of snow, so like 8 to 9 feet of snow on top of Hillel HaZaken. They brought him out and they washed him up. They, oiled him up. They put him in front of the fireplace, to save his life. So rich, poor man, you don't learn any Torah because you're too busy to work. Were you as poor as Hillel HaZaken that couldn't afford the few pennies to go into the base medrash? Yet he went up into the skylight. Then they asked the rich guy, okay, rich guy, how come you didn't learn? I was too busy with my businesses. I've got a lot of people that rely on me to give them a paycheck, and I have to grow my business. So he goes, oh, really? Were you more rich than Rabbi Elazar ben Chorsim, who was the Kohen Gadol during the second Beis Hamikdash? Which was, he was so rich, his father left him 1,000 cities, and for each city corresponding, he left him a ship in the sea. So he had 1,000, towns, and 1,000 ships. And each day he would take a kemach on his shoulder, the Gemara says, kemach al katifa, mahalach me'ir le'ir, medina medina l'umay Torah. And he would just go from one city to the next city to learn Torah. One time, he was in one of his cities, and one of the workers recognized him just, walking around, not doing, work or anything. He says, come, I'm hiring you right now. You've got to work for my boss, Rabbi Elazar ben Chorsim. Didn't recognize who he was talking to. It's kind of like undercover boss, everyone's like, boy, Gordon Ramsay things. Where he shows up at the restaurant, puts on a mask, and like, boom, it's your boss. All right. And the story goes basically, Rabbi Eliezer eventually like broke the news to him. But the concept is that Rabbi Eliezer ben Chorsim was this big CEO of all these, towns. Yet no one knew what he looked like because he was always in the base medrash. Then they go, okay, Russia, what are you? Did you learn? How come you didn't learn? So he says in front of him, Im Amar Na Hayisi v'Tard Biyitzri. I was too busy with my Yitzhara, like, come on. I was, running around town, enjoying all the pleasures of life. I'm like, they tell him that's nothing. Did you have a bigger, nisayon, a bigger, test than a Tanel Tatalov? What? No, I mean a bigger test than Yosef Tzaddik, right? What do they say about Yosef Tzaddik? Bichol Yom V'Yom, right? We know that he was in front of Ishes Potiphar, right? The Pharaoh's wife. And the Gemara explains what she would do to try to convince him to sleep with him. He would go, B'chol Yom V'Yom Hayisat Ishes Potiphar Mishtadlei B'Dvarm. First, of course, she would try to, appease him with words. Begadim shel vashalei shachris lei vashalei arvis. Right? The clothing that she wore in the morning, she didn't wear in the afternoon, and the clothing that she wore in the afternoon, she didn't wear at night. It's kind of like these Pesach programs, You go away for, the woman, they have to, for the 8 days, they have to bring 27 different dresses because they can't be seen in the same dress more than once. So that was Ishes Potiphar. That's where they get the idea from. Amrulai Hashmali. She would tell him, surrender to me. Amrulai Lav. She would go, really? You're not gonna, sleep with me. I'm going to put you in the dungeon. Yeah? What's so interesting? I'm telling you a story, okay? There was, she says, I'm going to put you in prison. If you don't come lie with me, I'm going to put you in prison. So what does Yosef say? Hashem matir asurim. I don't care. And then I'm going to show you a marsha that explains each one. Hashem matir asurim, right? Hareinu kefefes kamascha. I'm going to break your bones, put them back together, and break them again. So he goes, I don't care. Yosef says, Hashem zogev kekufufim. Hashem straightens the bed. Hareinu mesame eseinecha. I'm going to blind your eyes. Hashem bakei chivrim. He responds, Hashem bakei chivrim. He said, I'll give you 1,000 silver bars to lie with me. He goes, no, I'm not going to listen to you. Why? The Gemara writes, because if I lie with you in El Mazeh, and this is, a real powerful line, and that means I'm going to be with you in El Haba. And you can imagine where she's going to be in El Haba. Okay? So this capital of Tehillim right here, this Hashem Atir Asurim, right? The Bukei Ibn, the Zoyke Kuvuvim, right? You can, when I read it, I try to focus on the title, the Nisan that Yosef Tzaddik had, which we all experience nowadays. And you try to think, he was able to respond to all these different things, Eshes Potiphar, to hold himself back, to keep himself strong. How could we not focus that a little bit more and really strengthen ourselves in our Shemir Saguf while you're reading these? You think about Yosef Tzaddik, I always imagine, when you go up, when you pass away after 120, Elam Haba, who comes to greet you, Who comes to bring you in? They say maybe some people come out, I don't know if it's parents or family, whatever, but I always I want Yosef Tzaddik to come out, because I feel like we've living in 2025, and him in the palace of Pharaoh, we probably have a lot of similar experiences, And if he could come out and be like, hey, you're part of my clan, that would be pretty cool. Next week, Mirza Hashem, we're going to go a little bit deeper dive into these words, exactly how we can really hone in on them and really see that everything that we're struggling with is right here in these words, and we can really be something super meaningful. Sure.